Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Holistic Hive podcast. I am your host, Dr. Christina Kill. I've got Jaime Carroll with us today. So before I first introduce her and ask her questions, I'm going to prep you guys. This is going to be a really fun podcast that we are actually going to do like a dual role of questions back and forth. So I'm really excited for it. And it's a great way to start off this next hit of podcasts for you. So Jaime Carroll I've known her for years, and which is really exciting to seeing where you're going within what you've contributed to and help within the community. So currently she's the education advocacy coordinator at Infertility Connections. And it's awesome to talk about infertility. That's where we're really going to focus today. But I want you to jump in and really say, like, what is this role? Why is there such need? And I'm going to jump to it. Why is infertility such a big deal right now? Because it's obviously getting worse.
Oh yeah, It is a big deal because 1 in 6 people struggle with it. 1 in 8 couples deal with it. With infertility, there's a lot of stigma. So it's, the World Health Organization classifies it as a disease. And it's not really talked about very much. Hopefully we're trying to break that, and I know I'm very open about my own infertility journey. So really, we just, where I'm at right now with Infertility Connections, we're just trying to provide, support. So, we offer specialized therapy, we offer support groups that are peer-led and therapist-led that are free, which is amazing. Most of what we offer is free. Also with our therapy, we do accept a lot of insurance, and if you don't have insurance, there's like a sliding fee scale.
Cool.
So we try to make it as accessible as humanly possible. We do offer like free community events. I teach a lot of yoga for fertility, a lot of it in this beautiful space here. And I'm also, part of my position is a family building navigator. So you can set up a free Zoom with me and I can provide resources, recommendations, support, direct you to the right support group, it's kind of having like a personal infertility navigator. You can email me anytime. I am very responsive. I will find out. If I don't know the information, I will go find it out. So for you. Yes. And so we want people going through infertility to know that they are not alone. Yes. So a lot of the times they're very isolated and feeling very alone, and a lot of that is a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, and it actually is getting, like, I feel like it's getting worse. Like the stats are getting worse, and it's, a lot of employers don't offer infertility coverage of any kind, so that's something we do advocate for with employers, and we need that to change. We need people to be supported just like other diseases. So this is the only way sometimes people have to build their families, and so it's something I'm really passionate about, and I sometimes I get a little choked up.
Well, I love that. Like, I was just watching something last night. It was Lance Armstrong, and he was talking about how like breast cancer has such a huge awareness because women are willing to talk about things. And he's talking about with testicular cancer, it's like the guys don't want to talk about it. And he's like, women, good job. And I was like, and that's kind of like what a good point to start to start this conversation, because it's really one of saying, if we don't bring the conversation or talk about it and we keep it hidden, we keep it isolated, that isolation causes more harm. That isolation causes more hurt, it causes more stress and more anxiety, and it keeps that cycle going more. So I think what is so cool about this, and what I'm understanding, so I want to make sure I understand properly. I'm assuming it doesn't matter where you are on the infertility journey, whether you're assuming you have problems, not an official diagnosis yet.
You just be trying.
Okay, perfect. All the way through, obviously, you've maybe tried and failed at a whole bunch of things, and it doesn't matter who you're with for a doctor or any type of, you have a resource. And what a beautiful place to say, we accept and love on everyone, super inclusive. And I'm assuming inclusive within different dynamics of families as well.
Yes.
And we want to help that. So can you speak to all of that?
Yeah, we also do support the LGBTQ plus community and help with family building options. So that's something I'm happy to do a Zoom and walk you through and find resources and help with that. So that is something we're all inclusive, no matter where you are in your journey, what kind of, if you're not going through treatments, you're just trying on your own, if you're going through treatments, if you've had several losses, or really anything. We want to ideally we can get people to be aware of us early on in their journey.
Thank you.
So then they will be more supported. I mean, there's a lot of studies One of my favorite one is by Dr. Alice Domar, and it's like a Harvard-based study where they had, I think it was like 10 weeks, where they had this group of women do a mind-body program. And the women that did the mind-body program that were going through treatments, about 55% of them got pregnant in the end of the year versus 20% of the control group that did not.
Yeah.
So it's all back to, support and, learning relaxation exercises and kind of, like regulating your nervous system and all of that. You need the support. The support not only helps your well-being, but it could also help your chances of
getting pregnant.
Having a successful
I was going to say, not just being pregnant. Thank you. Let me correct myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when we learn more and more, it's like it's not necessarily even just getting pregnant, which can be a huge hurdle, but then maintaining a pregnancy and realizing where the partner comes in for their health. And we're learning more and more that if a woman is getting pregnant and miscarrying repetitively, it's often the health of the male that's a contributing factor. Yeah. So there's a ton of research that's coming out.
The DNA fragmentation stuff.
That's how, right.
Exactly.
And so it's really one of saying how can we get to people sooner, I think is always the best approach. Mm-hmm. The one thing you just said that I want to jump on is this mindset of it has been labeled as a disease, which I think is, I don't like labels, I'll say that.
Yeah.
But here's the benefit of this. When you're in an altered state, a stress state, an anxiety state, a dysregulated nervous system state, you gotta realize this isn't a safe time to get pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Your body thinks it's in
survival.
From a tiger or something, right?
And when you're running from a tiger, you're not going to stop and even have the act to have connection to try to make a baby, because you're going to die. And so I think it's really important to understand that as stress continues to go up, I do believe these numbers are going to get worse. And then this lends itself into, okay, where's your journey within what we do? Because, and I will say this, and we've talked a lot about this as chiropractors, we're a unique chiropractic office.
Yes.
We focus very much on brain.
I can speak to that,
So do you mind sharing a little bit of what your story is of how you came here?
Exactly. Okay, so how I came here, I've been kind of to chiropractors on and off. I used to work for a chiropractor. I've been to chiropractors in different states. Wasn't currently in chiropractic. I had gone through primary infertility. I had conceived via IUI for my son, and when I was pregnant with him, I got to a point where I honestly could barely walk because my low back and my sacrum and everything were in so much pain that I honestly I could not walk, which is hard because I'm a very physical person too, especially just being able to walk around. And so I found your old location where you guys used to be, and honestly, that was life-saving to me. So not only was I walking fine without any pain, I spent the rest of my pregnancy without any pain, without any low back. Who can say that? No low back pain, no issues, no problems. And then I've continued that, and I have honestly, and I've tried other things. I've tried physical therapy. I've tried things, for some of my issues with my body, and nothing has ever been helpful. So coming here has been helpful, and it's gotten me through, secondary infertility and, conceiving with IVF for my daughter and not having any pain and feeling good, and so.
And I love this. I love this because I joke that pregnancy could be uncomfortable, and it will be uncomfortable. Let me say that it will be, but it shouldn't be painful.
No.
And I think too many times, again, we're dismissed of going, well, you're pregnant. And the answer is no. My body is made, it's created, it's designed to be able to get pregnant and carry a baby and deliver a baby. And all of that is a beautiful, intelligent process. And so if things aren't working properly, something's not working properly. And it's from the inside, and let's figure that out. And that's our unique approach, is going, how is the body working? Is it functioning? Where is it not functioning? Let's correct function. So what I want to, I know you have some questions. I want to jump to the fertility. Yes, let's do that one.
Yeah, we'll jump to that. Mm-hmm. So I want to know how chiropractic can support fertility.
Such a big question. And so here's the coolest thing I'll say first for that one is that chiropractic is not a treatment for any set condition or disease.
Right.
We're not legally allowed to treat. And I go, good, because technically no one treats. Because it's our body that does the healing. We just want to take the credit where we can and go, nope, we don't take the credit, which is good. Because what you got to understand is that the body's designed and created to heal and repair itself. It's designed to, again, like I said, conceive and go through a pregnancy all on its own as long as everything's working properly. So the thing that runs that program is our brain and our spine and our nerves. That's our nervous system. And as long as nervous system's communicating within our body, since it runs everything, then everything should work great. If there's miscommunication or an interference in that communication system, then your whatever organ, whatever system the brain's trying to talk to doesn't get the information. It can't work at its best. which is where we start to see the health breakdown. So as chiropractors, what we come in and we focus on is restoring that communication, which restores function, which allows the body to start to heal and repair, which then allows health to be attained or regained. It depends on where you were. Exactly. Because some people I'm going, and we see a lot of babies in the office, and so sometimes they never had, like, it's not a restoration to health, they never had health. And that's really like just an honest thing that we now have to acknowledge, is that in this day and age, it's really one that the stress is so high that stressed moms and stressed dads are making stressed babies that are dysregulated from the very beginning.
I can attest to that. To having 2 different pregnancies of my state of mind.
And so it's really one that we'll specialize in the babies and take care of the pregnant moms and take care of everyone, because we realize it all matters. So within fertility, and this is fascinating to realize that we know that nerves control, of course, the uterus and control all our reproductive system. And it has its own rhythm to it. And we shouldn't have to mess with it, but we do mess with it with hormones and with foods. And we have to go there because there's foods and there's chemicals and there's lotions and there's air fresheners that all are hormone disruptors.
Endocrine disruptors.
100%. So when we're dealing with that, we got to first say, that's an outside source that we got to address. As chiropractors, we're going to come in and we're going to start with what is the easiest thing to do that's going to make the biggest bang for the buck. And that means let's make sure nervous system's communicating, which means that hormones are working like they should within the body, that you start to gain or start a normal cycle, a regular cycle, that men, their sperm and the fragmentation DNA means that they're not healthy, so that we start seeing that men get healthier as well. And this preconception period would be ideal. But then the research shows that people are getting pregnant when they're under chiropractic care. One of my favorite stories, if I can share.
Yeah, please do.
So she got pregnant via IVF. She had twins. And she was told, you'll never get pregnant without IVF. So we know where this is going. So she started her sons actually under care. Little toddler, or they were hilarious. Like, they had the backpacks, like the leash backpacks, because they were wild. They were wild. And so she finally starts care. And I go through her stuff and I looked at her x-rays, and she literally had like a rotated spine, her low back. She was a figure skater. And she had rotated her spine. I said, you got to realize those nerves control your uterus and control your legs and your bowels and your bladder. And it makes total sense that as it unwinds, I said, I remember saying this, if you don't want to get pregnant, I highly recommend you do something to prevent a pregnancy, because there's a chance. She's all, no. She told me, there's a chance that you could get pregnant. I said, I don't know, and I can't adjust someone to get pregnant. And I think that's awesome that it's like, no, we can't. It's your body. It's not how it works. And sure enough, she got pregnant. She was not happy with me. She thought it was my fault when she came in. I was like, well, let me remind you this conversation. And because you were told you could never get pregnant without an outside means. And I look at that of the greatest expression of the intelligence within the body. That if you remove that interference and allow the body time to heal, what it can do.
What it's capable of,
So that's what I love, is that capability and achieving that. So a lot of people will come in struggling with fertility, and we say, well, we're not treating the fertility, but this makes sense to me. Here are the nerves, and here's how they're not working. Here's your brain and how your brain's not communicating properly. You're not firing, the frequencies aren't proper, so you're not even in a state of healing and repair. You're in a state of fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, you're not going to be in a space to even get pregnant. Or it may be that that things just aren't, like, they're just so out of balance that you're just, like, the body's never going to be able to I'm jumping around, but I want to say nervous system's job is to recognize the environment and adapt to it. And often that's what's off. When we say dysregulated nervous system, that's really what it means, is it's not perceiving the environment for what it is. It's an altered state, and then it can't adapt appropriately. So the adjustments are like a reset to the computer and get it to work better. And we find that naturally a balanced, a regulated nervous system is the outcome
of it, because you're treating the whole body, not going and saying, what can we specifically do, but let's treat the whole, holistically, which I love.
And it's everything. And I say we start here. Now we can layer on the food. We can layer on the lotions and the chemicals you have at home. And all matters.
I know.
Exactly, and that's what we layer. But I like to say, let's start with what makes the most sense, and probably something that's forgotten, which is the nervous system. Now, I do have to say, it's really important for people to understand this, that and we've seen a lot of people that are struggling within their fertility journey, and a lot of people will come here and they love it and they get pregnant and life is wonderful. And I always tell, and I prep everyone when they come in here, we see a lot of families, which means we have a lot of babies, and we have a lot of pregnant women in this practice. And so for some people, it actually can do just the opposite. It can not be safe. It can be triggering for them. And so we're not a safe place for them. And with love, we want them to know that. And so it's one of going, we can refer you somewhere else. Here's what I recommend, but understand that we love you, and we appreciate where you are.
Feel okay.
Yes.
And you just being, I really, I'm sure the whole community appreciates you just making sure that they're aware of that before they show up.
Absolutely. Yeah. The last thing I need is exactly the opposite.
Adding extra on top of everything else.
Yeah. And it is one that I think sometimes is that thought of like extra, not even just the kids, but if they go, okay, scheduled or whatever. A lot of people are hoping like that one next step, and that one thing is like a pill or just like one thing to do, and the answer is no. Healing is a process, and a process takes time and repetition. And that sometimes is giving ourselves that grace and permission to go, okay, this is a big thing. It's now been labeled a disease, which means my body hasn't been working for a long period of time, and I need to give it time to heal. And it is going to take a schedule of care to heal, which means an investment of my time, energy, effort, and monetarily, and that will be okay. And so be ready for that. If you have a doctor that comes, a chiropractor comes in and says 1 or 2 adjustments, I expect you to be pregnant. I'd be like, hold on.
Not even
because I wouldn't want to give false hope like that. And that's expecting a lot from a body it's not honoring what the body's been through, and we need to give it time to unwind and heal.
That totally makes sense. And I know I want to go back to, you're talking about regulating the nervous system and how that addresses the stress and the anxiety, because there's even research that has shown that women going through IVF specifically, there's a lot more research for infertility women than
there is, and we need to improve.
We do need to improve upon that. But the women going through IVF have about the same stress levels as people that have been diagnosed with cancer, HIV, and heart disease. So that obviously is going to take time to address, and that's the state of your nervous system essentially.
Well, and I think it's also one that it took us 9 months to get pregnant with my first, and so I share that only because I saw a glimpse. It was like a little tiny just a moment to go, ooh, I had the months you're planning, and then you get your period and this major letdown. And I think that's the issue. There's a lot of loss in that grief process throughout the whole thing. And so what the hope is, yes, women, we need to hold women and love on women, because they're the ones that are cycling through literally and seeing this, but we got to get the men involved because again, the research that is coming out is predominantly, it's kind of scary how high it's showing men, you need to be healthy. And if you're not healthy, then we're actually not going to be able to carry these babies or conceive these babies.
The last thing I heard, which I know is now outdated because I just talked to somebody, but men, their fertility is responsible for 1/3 of the issue, and then 1/3 of the time it's both, combination of female and male kind of issues. But I think it's apparently now it's more than that.
It's more than that.
So
yes,
you can't just address the female.
No,
the male
is huge,
and their contribution is just as
well. And I just saw a statistic that if a woman is repetitively getting pregnant and losing, so miscarriages, 80% they're looking at the health of the sperm. And I go, ooh, that's a lot to go through for a couple, and that's a lot of loss, and that's a lot of hope. And so the answer is we need to tackle this as a team rather than this as a female issue. And it may be that you drag them in, and the answer is I don't care, drag them in, because a kind and loving partner who's on this journey with you will want to
contribute and do anything that they can do.
And if they understand that what they can do is actually a bigger impact than what we've ever given them credit for, I think they're going to take that ownership and then that provider role in a really beautiful way and be like, okay, I'm in because I can do this to help contribute to something we want together.
Exactly. Let me think of what else I wanted to ask you. Are there any misconceptions about chiropractic care and fertility, or just in general, that you would like to address?
I would love to, because most people think it's their own fault, and I will say that's a profession. We put ourselves in a box of back pain, neck pain, and headaches, and then now we're trying to get out of that box. Or other chiropractors are going, no, that box works really well. My answer is, is it good for back pain, neck pain, and headaches? Yeah, it can be great.
Sure.
And that's wonderful, and it's life changing. But the expression I heard is it's like going to the gas station for the coffee when you know that there's like a barista that's right next door that's like specializes in gourmet coffee. And the answer is like you're missing the good stuff. And so chiropractic is all about honoring the inborn wisdom of the body, that it can heal and repair itself, it can function at its very best. And so we're restoring communication, which will restore function, which then unlocks the potential of the body to heal, repair, and really just elevate its overall function and quality of life. So it's quality of life, it's quantity of life, and you're never too young and you're never too old. It's like when we look at, obviously with infertility, there's an age gap, but it's one going, to me, what's really cool is the resurgence in family chiropractic, which is what we've always done. So we're seeing the very young babies, we're seeing the grandparents, the great-grandparents, everything else. And it's a beautiful thing to say, that's really what it's there for. And the other one I have to address is that this is the way I like to describe it. People, and you've done the same thing. It's like, I need to find a chiropractor that's like you for my friend. And you're just like, I can't find him. And here's what I'll say is there's over 300 techniques within chiropractic.
Oh, that's why.
Okay, so in the medical world, we name it. A urologist, a dermatologist, a neurologist, like we compartmentalize. And in chiropractic, we don't do that. And so the way I like to describe that is, if you went to, by accident, a proctologist, and you were expecting to see a neurologist, you're gonna have a whole different experience.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So within chiropractic, we just don't name it. So it's about asking the right questions. Or about finding a chiropractor that you really love and jive and say, okay, who do you recommend? Because normally we have associations that we're part of, or mentoring groups that we're part of, or for me, I mentor, so I know the other doctors that I take care of and coach and help out. And I go, ooh, where are you going? Let me send you to someone like that, because then I know we're gonna be like-minded. So and a lot of people have said, I've tried chiropractic and it didn't work. And the answer is, you tried that chiropractor, or you tried that one technique. And I really implore people to say, give it another chance, because it is vastly different in the experience based on who you're seeing in their philosophy. And it may have been, it just didn't jive well with the person you saw.
And I can speak to that because, like I said, I've been to so many different chiropractors in different states and all these things. And I honestly refused to like go to anybody else. And I remember traveling to San Diego once, and I was having like some really bad back pain or something. And I called. I was like, where can I go here? Because I want to know somebody you trust and you recommend. And I will specifically go to them. And I went to that person.
So you did.
And that was very helpful.
It's a great experience.
Yes. And so I was like, that is how I got through the rest of my trip. But besides being also a wellness center that offers a lot more in addition to chiropractic care, how are you guys so different? Because I don't it's like I've been to other people and it's not helpful. So how are you? So there's going to be some sort of magical training going on or something that makes it so unique, and I love that. So I will say, my mentor had the largest family practice in North America. So I learned from him. I've taken over the program from him. So now I mentor and I coach other offices to do the same thing. The biggest difference I will say is that we get back to foundational approach. The body can heal, it can repair, but it takes time and repetition, which means it takes a schedule. And a lot of people are afraid of talking about a schedule or hearing about a schedule because we want the quick fix. And the answer is, but a quick fix is not, it's temporary. It's not that permanent fix. And so I have no problem sitting down with someone and go, here's where your health is, here's where you want to go, here's where I know it can go, but here's what it's going to take to get there. And a lot of docs are afraid to give that, here's what it's going to take, because they don't know it. Commitment.
It is a commitment.
And you need to commit to it, but it's your health. It's the quality of your life, and it's your well-being. And to me, it's top priority. And to me, it's such a small investment when we look at all the interventions that we do instead. We'll do all the testing, we'll do all the procedures, we'll go through all these things and go, but chiropractic is expensive. And I go, because you don't understand that it's foundational. So I think that's one of the big things that we are so different, is that we do a schedule that is really to improve health and function, and we know it's going to work, and we follow up to make sure it works. Done
that. You've done it, and it's life-changing.
Oh yeah, I can talk about the difference of when I started to now.
And that's what's cool is like you look at how many years you've been coming, and that's what we hear. It's like, I'm healthier now than I was then.
Oh my gosh,
And yet we're older now than we were then, and we're healthier, and go, yes, that's what it should be. And that's so cool about life. Now, in addition to that, I started the Holistic Hive because I wanted to say chiropractic. I don't want to dilute that. I don't want to confuse people because we already confuse people enough.
Yeah.
But in addition, let's have the holistic hive, which is why we do the podcast and we do the education room and we have in for yoga and we have other health providers and mental health providers that will come in, lactation providers that are in the space, and trying to get a massage therapist. I love to get an acupuncturist. So like we're still on that process of building this. But in the office right now, we're also offering red light therapy, which is getting a ton of traction in the world, which is really cool to see because we know it accelerates and improves healing. It's actually something that NASA figured out was they could grow plants in an environment without sun because of red light.
Okay.
Well, because it actually activates the DNA and the mitochondria of the cell to get healing going. So it's not super deep for what it does, and we don't need that. It's surface, but it's that benefit. So we have red light in the practice. That's really also another one I'll throw is like for any type of cognition, behavioral issues, or concussions for sure. We will do red light for them as well. We also have a sauna, and we know now that sauna, the extreme heat and the extreme cold, is so good to biohack the nervous system, to put it in a state of helping to regulate it, but it also helps with brown fat conversion over, so it activates that healing from within. And so we brought in a sauna, and I would bring in a cold plunge, but I don't want to hear people scream as they get into them. Just kidding.
That could be a little distracting.
But I am a believer in cold plunges, or even just at the end of your shower, or even end of the shower, just go cold and just stand under there, like for ideally 30 seconds. But if you can start with 5, like any of that is actually, it is a shock to the system, and that's what we want. It's not a long-term shock, it's a short-term shock to the system, because what we've done is we've made ourselves so comfortable in our environment with clothes and jackets and heated gloves and heated socks, which I have all those too, don't worry. But it doesn't allow our body to adapt to the environment. We're actually minimizing that adaptation, and then we're wondering why we're struggling with adaptation. Because we've taken it away. So that's where the extreme heat and cold is actually good. And then the other one we have is halo therapy. And halo therapy is like sitting in a salt cave. So it's good for any respiratory issues, any skin issues, because you're just getting that salt in. We'll have parents, they'll bring their babies or kids into the room for it because it's a super soft, benign way to just really help clean and help out respiratory. Then we briefly mentioned nervous system and brain scans. So I want to go there because that's something I'm super excited, and we haven't even fully unleashed it. But part of our new patient process now is we do a brain scan, which is brain scan in real time, which means we hook you up, we're measuring brain waves, we're doing heart rate variability, so we're measuring heart rate, we're measuring true respiration rate, and we're looking at how you're handling stress real time.
I did it,
And it's one that you're chilling, you're sitting there for 15 minutes, and you're not chilling because it's getting all this information. And what we're able to find with the scan is we're looking at frequencies within the brain. Do we have healing frequencies that are dialed in at the right level? Do we have the alpha waves, which is kind of like that meditation healing mode? Is that dialed in? Do we have the beta, which is like scanning the world for problems and for stress? Is that overactive? So then it does heart rate variability, which is huge because we want variation in our heart rate. We're learning from Oura rings, we're learning from like Garmin watches, like we need a good variation in our heart rate to be healthy, and this gives us that feedback. But what it does, and we're getting into more, is it can do biofeedback and neurofeedback. So when you come with this dysregulated nervous system, rather than just saying I can hum, I can tap, which all those things are good. Like I don't want to discount any of those. I can get adjusted, and I can have something that's a biofeedback that literally is real time giving me that feedback from my brain. So we call it neurofeedback at that point because it's retraining brain. And that's an additional therapy that we're now, which I'm rolling.
I think could be really helpful for people to going through infertility. And I can speak personally from that. You really get in it. Well, I did. I can say I got in a really negative state of mind. Like, you're upset at your body. You feel like, you're just, everything is incredibly negative. And if you can restructure that into kind of almost a positive, peaceful environment, it's really helpful.
I want to speak to that. Like I have a history of cancer, and I remember going through my emotional journey of my body's broken. And what I had to really appreciate was my body's not broken, it's talking back to me in a way that I'm listening. And when we deal with something so traumatizing, potentially like infertility, we can go to that dark place of my body's broken. It's bad, it's diseased, it's not doing what I want it to do. And the answer is no, your body's powerful. It's beautiful, it's capable, and it's telling you something. So let's honor what it's telling us and work with that, and then appreciate what it's doing. And I think that can be life-changing. Like that alone,
it really is.
Even if it doesn't end up with a pregnancy, like which we all hope it does, but it's like, but that appreciation, that flip of the switch to here is so important. And so I really appreciate you sharing that, because it's when I'm going, no, I get it. I've been there, and go, I think that's when, like so many times at the table, I'm just saying to people, you got this. Your body can do this.
Yeah.
It wants to do this.
Yeah. My experiment was my 2 pregnancies. With my son, I mean, I wasn't having any chiropractic care. I wasn't really doing anything. I was incredibly stressed and anxious and depressed and like alone and isolated feeling. And that whole pregnancy, my son, very dysregulated. Well, I mean, he's also autistic and has ADHD, but you know what I mean. That very much affected him. With my daughter, by that time, before, you know, leading up to my IVF with her, I had addressed a lot of things with my body. I had been coming to chiropractic. I had been doing acupuncture. I was, you know, just really like nurturing and nourishing myself. I changed my mindset. I was doing positive affirmations. I was, which is, you know, kind of almost like cognitive restructuring.
Yes, it is.
You know, breathing techniques and positive affirmations. And I was thinking positively, and I was sending, you know,
beautiful
warmth and light and doing all the things. And honestly, that pregnancy was completely different. I also didn't end up with PPD and PPA like I did with my first pregnancy. So,
and it's one that's with grace. I'm going to jump in because that's what the research is showing us, is that really stressed, anxious moms are, I'm trying to get the right word.
Yeah.
It's a higher correlation that these kids are having neurological issues at the beginning.
That makes sense.
And it does make sense. And then the answer is there's no, I don't say that to be like, oh, now, like, I blame. Nope, that's exactly what I'm trying not to say. I don't want that. It is the grace to go, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Now as I heal and they heal, now we have additional resources, and it gives us that extra incentive to say, if I'm not pregnant yet and I'm on this journey, here's the opportunity that I have to really do some big work on me and on myself and how I communicate and on my nervous system, so that when I'm healthy and I carry a baby, I don't have those additional things, because I was given the opportunity of time and planning that other people don't get, that I can lean into that and I can work with that. And that's a blessing.
It is. It is.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
This is a huge one, and this is a deep one, and there's so many resources, but yet the resources were hard to find.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing the work that you're doing. Thank you for everything that's happening with Infertility Connections, because it's so needed to have these resources. Being in practice for now over 20 years, I can tell you it's lovely to see the cycle that's happened to up-level communication, understanding, awareness, and go, these are things that people are struggling with, and they're not alone. And in that common humanity, to know that we're not alone, that other people have been through this, they've made it through, and they've had the outcomes that we want, that also gives me hope. And so I appreciate that you're with them and out in our communities making such a big difference. And I really appreciate the time today.
Thank you. I love my job and I'm really passionate about it. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here with you. And how can they get, how can our community, if they want to get a hold of
let's talk both
Family First Chiropractic and Wellness, So
Family First Chiropractic and Wellness Center is the name of our practice. It's in Holiday, Utah. It's utahfamilychiro.com is our website. That's probably the easiest. And honestly, when we've done this, it's like it hits a lot here in Utah, but it doesn't have to. So if you're hearing this and you're outside of Utah and you go, but I can't make it to Utah. And some people say, no, I'll make it to Utah. Like, you get started and then find someone for me. We've done that a lot. The other option is give us a call and we can look for someone in your area. That's huge.
Right.
Now, flip side for you, how do people get in touch with you or through your program?
The best way, probably, follow us. So at infertility.utah is our Instagram. Our website for now, I think, is utahinfertilityresourcecenter.org. So it's a long one. But also you can go on our website, set up a free, if you don't know where to start in your journey, or wherever you are in your journey, or you're looking for just family building options, whatever, I can support you with that. So the good place to start, if you're like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what's happening, I don't know what I'm doing, what's happening, or I just need help or support, reach out for a free Zoom with me. You can have as many free Zooms as you want. I can be your personal, I can support you just personally for your journey.
And that's huge. This is beyond huge to now have that opportunity. So thank you for doing what you're doing. I'll make sure that all this stuff is in the show notes, and so links and everything else, we'll have that for you guys. and I appreciate this opportunity to collaborate,
Yeah,
because it
me too.
really is one that I say collaboration is king. And when we collaborate, we can help more people in a bigger way, and that's really how we bring communities together.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Christina.